Well, good morning, community. Welcome to Stroke of Genius Podcast Survivor Experience. How about I get a special treat for you? I got a cognitive health coach. I got didn't see all that well, and she'll pick about my speech because really it doesn't do well, like I say. But her name is Taryn Barlow. She's a cognitive health coach. She's this has got me nervous. She's a speech language pathologist, certified international health coach, certified brain injury specialist, and if that's enough, she helps people like us with brain injuries of all types to balance their lifestyles, to enabling them to become a thriver, to go from basically a survivor to a thriver is what she does. So let me bring. Oh, I forgot to take off camera. Hi, how you doing, Taryn?
I am wonderful, Aaron. Do you think I am a nerd brain or what?
Well, I didn't realize you're on the screen. I was supposed to take you off, but let me plug this in the intro. Hold on a second.
The Stroke of Genius podcast, hosted by brain aneurysm and stroke survivor Aaron Avila, sharing the experiences of survivors and CEOs. This is your destination for inspiration.
What a wonderful
Now
intro.
you're supposed to be on camera doing my introduction. Then I bring you on camera during that intro, but well, I'm sure I would just messed up. Well, welcome, Taryn. How you doing?
I am wonderful. I'm here in Massachusetts and it's a chilly day today.
Yeah, well, is it snowing in Massachusetts today?
Not at the moment. We've had a very snowless winter so far.
Really?
Yep.
It's unusual. Now, yeah, let's get right into it. We only have half an hour together.
Yep.
Let's see, we have 3 comments ready, but now let's see what they'll say. Sherry Patterson, now she has a cold. She's in Niagara Falls.
Hi
She
there.
is a superhero. That's Sherry Patterson. She has a patient too, by the way.
Got it.
And Jamie Parrish, which I don't remember. Jamie, tell us where you're from. I don't know where you're from.
Hi,
And then,
Jamie.
and then Sherry Patterson wanted to say hello again. So give a shout out to Sherry Patterson, Jamie, if you would, please.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, we thank you for being out there. This podcast would not be here without you. So we want to invite you and thank you for being your support. Thank you for supporting us. But Taryn, tell me a little about what a cognitive health coach is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's my creativity of my professional experience combined with what I am just heart-led passionate about. Um, I started my career as a speech language pathologist, and I have wanted to be a speech language pathologist since I was in 8th grade. And I'm guessing not a lot of people can say that because who knew what a speech pathologist was unless you ever sat in the room as a kiddo? But for me, I have always been really interested in the language, the brain, word finding. I like the idea of thinking about language kind of in categories, in groups, and sorting things. And I went to grad school and went to work in a variety of different settings. So I've worked in inpatient, outpatient, acute rehab, and I will tell you, I was drawn all the way through to neuro patients and specifically people who have sustained traumatic brain injury, whether that's stroke or concussion or however it's acquired. because that's mainly the population is the acquired brain injury population. I loved it. I loved helping people. I loved seeing it all the way through the healthcare system, right? Because I saw somebody in the inpatient, and then I saw somebody in acute rehab, and then I saw them in outpatient. I've worked in nursing homes. I have worked across the whole spectrum. And
But you have the ability, you've seen it from the start of, say, brain injury or
yes,
stroke to the end.
yes.
It really gives you a unique set of qualifications, really.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting is I kind of went through the process just like someone who has experienced a traumatic brain injury would, in the sense that my career went in the same pattern of how somebody would receive care. And then I kept thinking, well, what comes after this? What do we do? Insurance stops covering therapy, or we hear the word plateau, which I don't believe in. I don't believe in that word plateau. I think healing from almost anything is lifelong. And I will say that that is specifically true in traumatic brain injury, because the brain is amazing. And so I kept sending people out of outpatient saying, they would say to me like, well, now what do I do? What's next? And I always encourage people who have sustained brain injury, experienced stroke, to go in for tune-ups. I'll say, go in for a tune-up. Because you know what? At different points in your life, you have different expectations of your language, of your brain. And so you can go back into a therapy setting and say, hey, listen, I know last time we were together, I was working on word finding for my home, but I've recently started going to these weekly game nights, and I want to work on the language for game nights or something. And you can re-engage therapy because there's been a change of life, a change of situation. However, what about in between that stuff? Right? So cognitive health coaching is my creative gap fill, is what I'm filling in a gap. When you are leaving rehab and you're re-engaging at home, in the community, possibly at a job or volunteering, we know that the word finding that happens, the memory stuff that changes, it's going to show up, right? It shows up not just in a therapy room, it shows up in the real world. And in the real world, there's way more variables on the table. How did you sleep? What did you eat? How stressed out are you? What's going on with your emotions? How supported you feel in that environment? So the world of health coaching is about supporting someone through the real life experiences. So I added cognitive, because what I do is cognitively support you in the real world. Aphasia, organization, problem solving, executive function, that shows up every day, every single day. And you have now committed all this energy to learning strategies and all of these rehab experiences. But how do you do them in the real world when time is an element or there's an emotional variable? And then another huge part of this is medical advocacy for me. I wish it wasn't the case, but so many people who have experienced traumatic brain injury, mild stroke, if you can't see the injury, it requires so much advocacy, to communicate with medical professionals, support people, extended family. And that's hard work. That's a lot of work. And you're trying to heal your brain at the same time. So here I am, the guide on the side with the professional experience to support you with all of that cognitive linguistic stuff in the real world.
Yeah, you that were talking earlier, Taryn,
Mhm.
that you know, it's something that resonated with me, something that you said,
Mm.
the gap. There's and you and I talked about this
Mhm.
earlier in the green room. There's a gap between the hospital, right, which is, you know, rigid and you could do a therapy and you it's basically push you to
Mhm.
recovery. What do you do when they drop you off and they basically say, okay, it's time to go home, and drop you the care? And you and I've talked about that.
Yep.
And Stroke TV Media is working in a series called Bridging the Gap.
Mhm.
And you've been nice enough to volunteer and be part of that. And you know what do we do? And now I know many, and I think probably one of the coolest speech issues, as you know, I have dyslexia. But one of the coolest, I think, there are a couple things that made me cry when I first got into this. One, when someone has a stroke and they have young children, we're
Yes.
talking they have 2 and 3-year-old children, if not newborn. And it used to break my heart because I had dad some I'll never be able to play ball with my child.
Mhm.
You know, and the other one would be aphasia.
Yes.
Aphasia is so cruel. I mean, aphasia is one of the things that also broke my heart. How do you advocate for yourself when you can't communicate properly?
A- Absolutely. So, there's such a range of how someone experiences aphasia, right? Um, from the subtle awareness that words are difficult to locate, right? That anomia or difficulty finding the word, all the way to having to find alternate methods of communication because the something in the process from brain to mouth, from the organization within the brain, there's disruption. And you know we got to get creative, and it's also what's very individual. There is not something that's going to work for one person that's necessarily going to work for another. And we got to lean into people's strengths or creativity. For example, you know coming up with a method of communication with aphasia that suits somebody who maybe has this really creative spirit, brings artistry in, right? For them to have just a list of words to utilize, maybe they want to make beautiful drawings that go with those words that are their own beautiful drawings. Um, or, for example, someone who works or has experience with more of a very structured maybe I love engineers. I'm always I have a love and a passion for people who love that black and white world of engineering. And the drawing of the object, they're going to look at me and go like, yeah, no, not for me. Maybe they want something a little more streamlined, right? That's a spreadsheet of categories. I think learning who the person is and leaning into what makes them excited to try to communicate is huge. Like for you, Aaron, like here you are broadcasting. The language of broadcasting and putting yourself out there, that's your joy language. And when the challenges of dysarthria show up, I bet they show up less when you're doing the work that fills your soul
True.
versus during a really challenging moment in something maybe you don't love as much.
Yeah, true.
um, it is individualized care. And in acute care, you're worrying about the person medically being stable, right? We're talking about blood pressure or blood sugar, or, we're really worried about the medical values. You start getting to outpatient, it's a lot more about healing the person, little more engaged with the individual and what fills their soul. But then out in the real world, when they re-engage and want to do the things that make them happy, that's where you can tailor support even more, really individualized. And it's the key. It's often people will use the phrase, it's the thing that moves the needle for me the most.
Right. Taryn, you mentioned something several times I really want to bring up because it really is a key I've experienced personally, and I think
Mm.
what you're saying is true. And I don't know it. You used to sing it, so it comes out so easy. But emotions,
Yes.
to find that thing that triggers you emotionally,
Mhm.
causes the neurons to fire in our brains. I mean, the reason I have been able to improve my speech mostly is because I love what I do. I love talking to people like you. I love running this podcast. I love helping stroke survivors.
Yeah.
So if there's anything I want to encourage anybody out there that struggles with any speech issue or any physical issue, it doesn't matter. It's proven. If you can join your emotions with the task, with the challenge, it will change how effective it is.
Yes.
And I think it's really now if people want to improve, let's say I know someone has a patient really bad.
Yep.
You are there, you charge a fee, I'm sure, and they're able to get hold of you and bridge a gap between the hospital speech issue
Yep.
they're having and home.
Yes.
So how did they get hold of you if they want to work with you?
Absolutely. So my most fun personal growth area has been being brave and putting myself out there on Instagram. Um, Here I am as a speech language pathologist, and let me tell you, they don't teach you marketing in in speech pathology. And so I've had to be brave and take chances and put myself out on Instagram in particular. It's my focus at the
Right.
moment. And so I am Taryn _ the well brain on Instagram. And I do have go ahead.
So yeah, I want to make sure that people are that there's Taryn with the
Taryn.
T,
Yeah.
which is she's very similar to Aaron, but it's Taryn underscore what?
The well brain.
Well, brain.
The well brain. Taryn, TARYN _ the well brain. And then there is a website and it's all consistent. Taryn. It's the wellbrainslp.com. So there I am, right? And here's the thing for me. I want someone to communicate with me in the best way possible. Is it video for them? Is it phone for them? Is it email for them? I think this is where my speech pathology background comes in. I am very flexible. I have I have that skill set. Whatever communication mode is best for the individual, I am willing and able to do that method because I never want to take away from someone's hard work. I always want to support it and boost it up. So it would be Taryn the Wellbrain, the Wellbrain SLP at gmail.com. So the
I'm sure they
Wellbrain.
can probably Google the well
You
brain.
can Google me, the
Maybe
Wellbrain SLP.
I'll put links. We'll put links in the description if it's not already. But we'll put links to your website, links to stuff. I encourage you to get all it now. you can help people all around the world, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Through, yeah, it's a pretty
I
good.
only have, so I do only speak English. So there's that language variable. Um, that's real. I am not multilingual, and in particular, my area that I have been the most passionate about and able to do the most progress is someone who has experienced mild to moderate traumatic brain injury. Um, but I will always take a phone call. I will always take an email. I will always take a direct message if someone has a question for me. Um, I joke that I said it to you, Aaron, before, I'm a bad businesswoman because I'm a helper before I'm a businesswoman, long before I'm a businesswoman. Um, I'm a helper. I love what I do. And if I want to encourage anyone who is listening to this podcast today, it is go do the things. Go do the things that are hard, but that bring you joy. Because whether it's a cognitive issue or a speech issue, those things suddenly get a little easier when there's joy and action together.
That is a boom right there. I'm telling you, people, that is what, if you were to pick, if I had to pick one thing
Mhm.
that made the difference between where I'm at right now, where I used to be, I was totally unintelligible, pretty much.
Mhm.
And it was because of passion. There was a passion, and because I put myself out there. You think it was easy doing this? I thought my life was over. I mean, I can't even express how scared I was when I put myself out in an unfamiliar, scary place
Oh,
like live streaming with the Satya. And
mhm.
it was terrible. So no, I do see. I know Sherry Patterson. She has the face. She says, please, she said, plead, but she meant please. Know
Yep,
that.
yep, yep.
And so she probably will be contacting you because I know if she wants, she has aphasia
Mhm.
and she has, but I think the trick is to with her or with anybody with speech, put yourself out there, people. Don't be afraid of being not understood.
You've worked
That,
on the speech. Now go work on the speech in the places that fulfill you, that are you're passionate about, that bring you purpose, because all of a sudden that speech doesn't get quite as hard.
that it, man, if there is one, I want you guys to hear what Taryn is saying because it's so critical. Put yourself in those uncomfortable places
Yes.
that you find passion with, that you resonate with, because it will improve your speech and make therapy turn to not work. It'll be
No.
something you would love to do.
Yeah, that's like this job for me. I don't look at this
Right,
as a job. This is a
right.
passion. This is your thing too. This isn't work for you. This is a passion. Rehab becomes less about rehab when you're working on the language or words for, why do words come back easier when it's about family members you love? Because there's love and joy involved with being able to produce that name. Um,
Yeah,
those there's
you
emotion.
don't think it, Taryn. I really, I cannot repeat enough. I don't want to overburden it, but people listen. Do not let your stroke limit you. Don't let it put you in a box.
No.
The biggest wall you're gonna have to climb up there is the one you put in your own mind.
Mhm.
Taryn, most people, like us stroke survivors, we turn against ourselves. Our biggest enemy. I remember when I first started this, I
Mm.
said, no one's gonna listen to me. No one's gonna. I mean, I guess I get drunk all the time.
Aaron, that is not dissimilar to here I am. I created a business. I don't know what it's like to experience a brain injury. That's was that's a blessing for me, right? The imposter syndrome of speaking to individuals who have experienced brain injury. What gives me the right? Well, what gives me the right is my passion. I want to help. I hope to never know what that journey's like, but we are all one moment away from experiencing a traumatic brain injury. And I think we'd be naive not to recognize that that's you got to do the things that make you happy, and this job makes me happy.
I picked up on that right away when you first started talking about your journey in your profession
Yeah.
and how you've always been such a kid. Since you're a kid, you were fascinated with speech is your passion. So anything, Stroke TV is always here for you. But anything we could do, I love passionate people because I believe you could be your purpose in
Yes.
life.
Yes.
And this is true for anybody out there.
Anybody.
Your purpose in life is hidden in your passion.
Oh,
Something you're passionate about, your call for is in your passion.
There's someone out there, Elise Myers. She's incredible. She's out on Instagram and she puts out this wonderful content. And so there's a lot about mental health and mindset. And one of her famous things to say is do it scared.
Not do it scared.
Do it scared. I'm going to borrow that in the world of traumatic brain injury and stroke. Do it scared.
So people out there, we're getting down to every half an hour goes by quick.
Oh, I bet.
But people out there, if they want to get on, you have a free introductory fit. See, what is your email if they want to set up a meeting with you? What's the best way to initially contact you for that interview or that pre-consultation?
So that free connection call, the best way to do it is from my website. So the wellbrainslp.com. And there is a tab that says connect. And you send in just, the basic information and I reach out. And the reason I do that is because, again, I'm a bad businesswoman, much better helper. I do not want to waste your time, your energy, finances, anything. If my skill set does not align with your goals and purpose and what you're looking for. But then I really like to connect you to anything that if I am not the person for you, I want to see what I have in my resources that could connect you to something else. Because this community is beautiful. And I never want to leave someone hanging if I am not their person. And that's okay. That is okay if I am not their person. I want them to keep searching for it. If I am, we'll talk, we'll connect, and we'll get started.
Yeah, Sherry Patterson, she's excited to hear you because, she has a face. She gets frustrated. I see it in there. I talked to Sherry. She's a close sister of mine in my Niagara Falls, and I speak aphasia. A lot of people can't fill in the gaps or kind of read around like you can. I can understand her, and she's like here she is. I love that gal. I'm gonna put this up. She loves everybody. There's just I love the gal.
Thank you. Hey, reach out. Let's talk. Let's connect in whatever method works best for you. I will accommodate to the best of my abilities, and we'll see. We'll see.
Well, that is really great. We're down the end of the show. I appreciate being there.
Thank you,
If you
Aaron.
want a SLP that will help you bridge a gap between the hospital and home, give Taryn a call or give her an email or shout out on Instagram, whatever. But Taryn, is there any final words you'd like to say before we go? Is there any?
I want anyone who has experienced traumatic brain injury and stroke to listen very carefully. This trial you're going through is not for nothing. And I have only seen the most beautiful, incredible, resilient, determined, courageous human beings just move mountains after experiencing traumatic brain injury. And I am humbled if I have ever shared a space with you and you have been vulnerable with me or any of that. I'm humbled to be in your presence because your resilience is contagious.
I'm so glad I asked you that question. You answered probably the best I've ever heard. So, and again, your passion comes through. The energy of your purpose comes through. Your why comes through the
Thank
screen. So, thank you so much for being here. And again,
you,
if there's
Aaron.
anything I could do for you, anything True TV media can do for you, please let me know.
I am looking forward to a beautiful friendship, Aaron. And let me just say, your speech sounds spectacular.
Thank you, and I appreciate that. Okay, well, Ted, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.